live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. An SSPDF officer has reportedly killed his wife before turning his gun to himself in Juba. The South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority has notified foreign travelers to obtain a newly updated electronic visa before flying into the country. And a member of the peace monitoring body is calling on the government to speed up the implementation of the peace agreement to normalize relations with the new U.S. administration. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Jale Richard, and now the news in detail. An SSPDF officer has reportedly killed his wife before turning his gun to himself in Juba. 41-year-old captain, identified by a relative as Deng Tong Akol, killed his wife before killing himself in Juba's New Side area yesterday. The spokesperson of the police, Major General Daniel Justin, confirmed the incident to iRadio this morning.
A captain in the army, think they quarreled with his wife, and then he shot the wife, and then he disappeared. Later on, he discovered that the wife had died, so he killed himself. We went there, brought the body to the postmortem, and we opened a case. We are investigating so far. No, the name is not for you people. It is still for us here. This is the information I'm just passing, that he's a captain, and he killed his wife, and then at the end, he killed himself also.
Incidents of army officers killing themselves and their families have been reported in the past. In 2019, a soldier in Wau shot dead his wife, children, before killing himself in a domestic case. The South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority has notified foreign travelers to obtain a newly adopted electronic visa before flying into the country. In a circular dated January 21st, all airlines are also directed to ensure passengers boarding their flights possess the visa. The Aviation Authority warned that any airline that allows passengers to board without the e-visa will be held responsible. It stated that failure to comply with the directives, the airline will be fined not less than $500 for each passenger for defying the order, while defiant passengers will be deported to their original point of departure. The Aviation Authority says it is implementing an order issued by the Transport Ministry, which shall be effected by February 1st. Foreign passengers can apply for the e-visa through the given website www.evisa.gov.ss. This is iRadio News. A member of the peace monitoring body is calling on the government to speed up the implementation of the peace agreement to normalize relations with the new U.S. administration. On Wednesday, Democrat Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th President of the United States, replacing Republican Donald Trump. My colleague Priscilla Cole has the rest of the story.
According to analysts, South Sudan experienced love-hate relationship with the former U.S. administration after several targeted sanctions were imposed on leaders for their roles in the country's civil war. But upon Biden's victory in November, the government of South Sudan indicated that it would work to improve its bilateral relationship with the new U.S. administration. Rajab Mohandis is a representative of the civil society to the reconstituted Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Committee RJMEC, and the director of the Organization for Responsive Governance. He says if the parties to the peace agreement do not demonstrate seriousness in establishing sustainable peace, the sour relation with the U.S. may continue.
There is no sign that the Biden administration would simply go ahead and normalize relations or improve relations with South Sudan. It will definitely be hinged on how we make progress in democratic field. In that case, progress in the implementation of the agreement, key aspects of the agreement.
South Sudan's relations with the U.S. reportedly deteriorated during the Trump administration, with several sanctions imposed on members of President Kiir's administration. In January 2020, the Trump administration sanctioned first Vice President Taban Deng Gai on charges of abduction and killing of two government critics. Taban Deng's sanction added to a list of already sanctioned senior government officials, opposition figures, and individuals. Minister of Defense Kwal Manyang Juk and Cabinet Affairs Minister Dr. Martin Elia Lomoro were also sanctioned in December 2019 for what the U.S. described as obstruction of reconciliation efforts in South Sudan. In 2018, imposed sanctions on 15 South Sudanese oil operators that is said were important sources of cash for the government, an action aimed at increasing pressure on President Salva Kiir to end the country's conflict and humanitarian crisis. The list includes Dar Petroleum Operating Company, an oil and gas consortium led by China National Petroleum Corporation and Malaysia's state-run oil and gas firm Petronas, and the two largest oil farms operating in South Sudan. But the government has always rubbished such sanctions, saying they were unfounded. However, activist Rajab Mohandi says for the government to get support for its international friends and partners, it should demonstrate progress in restoring peace.
So we should not be very hopeful that with the change now of Joe Biden in the office, things are just going to change and the world will just get better for us as South Sudanese, and particularly our leaders. Things might still remain tough. And on that note, the only card we have to really build good international relations and support is that we demonstrate that we are achieving progress that resonates with the interests of the international community.
In 2019, the former U.S. ambassador to South Sudan, Thomas Hushek, warned that targeted sanctions would continue if South Sudan's leaders do not implement the revitalized peace agreement as planned. Reporting for iRadio, I am Priska Akol.
Thank you, Priska, for that report. Some members of the public have expressed disappointments with the ceasefire monitoring body Citizen VM, saying it is doing little in monitoring the cessation of hostilities agreement. They argue that the ceasefire and transitional security arrangement monitoring and verification mechanism is not fully executing its mandate as stipulated in the new peace deal. According to the revitalized peace agreement, Citizen VM's mandate is to monitor, verify compliance and report to the IGAD Council of Ministers and the revitalized Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Commission on the progress of the implementation and also violations of the permanent ceasefire and transitional security arrangements. In May last year, a politician also criticized Citizen VM for what he described as underperformance, while violations of the ceasefire were reportedly taking place in some parts of Central Equatorial State. It came after the National Salvation Front, or NAS, and joint forces comprising of the SPLA-IO and SSPDF allegedly clashed near Yei town, displacing thousands of civilians who had just returned home from refugee camps in Uganda. Some members of the public who spoke to iRadio this morning alleged that the ceasefire monitoring body is now relaxed on some of the violations taking place in some parts of the country. They call on the body to do more.
الموضوع بتاع السيستم طبعا هو فعلا فشل في الوضعيه بتاعت المراقبه بتاعت الوقت، لانه اذا كان ما بياخذ اكشن، اذا كان بيحصل احداث في المناطق اللي بيحصل فيه ضمن المهام بتاعته اساسا يتحرك ويراقب، يعني بدل ما هو يكون قاعد في جوبا، لان لحد يوم الليله ما شفنا سيستم في ارض الواقع في مناطق مثلا الفوق الاذاعات الفوق التلفزيون فوق الفلاشات ما متحرك زي مناطق بتاعت ريفي ومناطق بتاع العالمين، وهو ما يتحرك عشان هو يعاقب على الحاجه. دي المشكله.
Citizen is doing nothing in the country. They are not monitoring and they are not assessing the areas that violation occurred, because we have so many violations, especially Yei County have been having so many violations and there is nothing seen, as well as Upper Nile, where government says it was youth in the area that clashed with the SPLM-IO. Citizens did not come with report as we speak. Also, in Bahr el-Ghazal, last year, even some of IO forces were detained and people were killed, and citizens did not come with the full report that will convene the public. Was it happen Citizen did not give any single report on these matters. Barkada Road between Tony and Wow was closed by then, and citizens were killed. Even innocent citizens were detained. So here it shows that citizen is not doing work. Peace is not implemented. And people are talking of implementation. Gun is everywhere, shooting every day and night.
I say, woman, Bukalam Nagta citizen. The key mafia action, Bamolo, for not to win it, this, Sibu, Himal. This is all the food, I'm she shall be. I say, not guarding for Maracas, Sana Kamen, Mafia kill Mafia. I say, Kalamda, say, you know, Sudan, the Monobama security folk, we have a good security few. Jay Gatti, Marcus, Madder Karaji. Kalamda quit. And Massa, I say, they buy that Gadam on Nasso, go off in Marcus, Moru Karajua, Shanija, I'm in Nas.
However, the ceasefire monitoring body, Citizen VM, often reports that it is being restricted from accessing some areas where violations of ceasefire occur. You're listening to iRadio News. The leaders of Apadang and Jikan communities in Upper Nile are calling for calm after 2 attacks left at least 12 people dead and several others wounded. According to officials, the first cattle-related attack took place at a village called Bayajak on the 13th of January. Lasuba Memo has the rest of the story.
The incident claimed 5 people, including a child and 2 women. The second incident took place in Paroj 3 days later, leaving 7 people dead in what local officials have described as revenge killings. One of the victims was a 9-month-old baby. These incidents reportedly caused tensions between the 2 communities, prompting the leaders to hold a meeting. Simon Kunpoch, a Jikan community leader and former governor of Upper Nile State, read out a joint communique at a press conference in Juba yesterday.
We, the leaders of these 2 communities, are haunted by a violence incident in Malut County and condemn these attacks against the civilians in both Bayajak and Paloj in the strongest term possible. Second, we conveyed our heartfelt sympathies and condolences to the bereaved families Bayajak, and also our condolence to the family of our beloved civilians killed in Paloj. Third, strongly appeal for the calm among the youth on both sides and work to restore peace immediately. We strongly send this.
This is iRadio News. The gender-based violence court in Juba has sentenced another young man to 10 years in jail for molesting a 13-year-old girl. 20-year-old Moses Dogla Lawrence was convicted yesterday for sexually assaulting the schoolgirl at Gudele in November 2020. Francis Amum Awen is the presiding judge of the gender-based violence court.
Convict is sentenced to 10 years imprisonment with effect from date of his detention. 2. Remedies. Convict have to pay to the victim 500,000 South Sudanese pounds as remedies through civil proceeding. 3. Convict is advised that he has a right of appeal against both conviction and sentence within 15 days.
Moses Dogla is the 4th man to be found guilty of molestation by the court this week. Daniel Charles, Nelson Wani, and Rich Chol were sent to jail for similar crimes on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, respectively. The GBV court was inaugurated last December to handle crimes related to women and children in the country. You are listening to iRadio News, and now Lasoba Memo joins me. He's got stories making headlines in the international scene. Hello, Lasoba.
Thanks, Jale. Richard, in the international scene, a talented Senegalese student who went missing in France has said she was on a little break to regain her senses. The RSO did not return to school after the Christmas holidays, causing concern in Senegal and France. She was studying at a prestigious Paris school. Described as the best student in Senegal, Ms. So won several national academic prizes and published her first novel last year. In a letter she sent Water and Sanitation Minister Serigne Mbaye Thiam, she said she was not the victim of any kind of pressure and apologized to those worried about her. Elsewhere, the Central African Republic has declared a state of emergency as armed groups try to lay siege to the capital Bangui. It will last for 15 days and allow authorities to detain suspects without the authorization of prosecutors. Rebel factions now control most of the country and are calling for the resignation of President Faustin Archange Touadera, the win of December's election. Last week, the rebels launched attacks on the capital suburbs, but withdrew after an intervention by the UN peacekeeping force. The UN envoy has asked the UN Security Council for more troops. And finally, Republicans in the U.S. Senate are asking Democrats to delay the start of former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial until February. They argue this will give Mr. Trump time to prepare defense. He is accused of inciting insurrection after supporters of his stormed the Capitol this month. House of Representatives Democrats are ready to hand the charge to the Senate. Mr. Trump flew to Florida as his term ended on Wednesday, skipping his successor Joe Biden's inauguration. That's all in the international scene. Jale Richard, back to you.
Thank you, Lasuba Memo. And now Kelly Abale is here with your favorite sports news.
Thank you. A look onto sports stories making headlines this afternoon. Cricket South Africa has said that Australia's test tour over South Africa is set to go ahead in March or April. However, CSA's board chairman Zach Yacobo also warned that the unpredictability of the COVID-19 virus could yet cause plans to change. A 3-test tour was originally scheduled to take place during February and March, but an aborted limited over tour by England last year led to the speculation that either the tour might not take place or that it would be switched to Panther in Western Australia. South Africa are currently in Pakistan, where they are due to play 2 test matches and 3 T20 internationals. Manager Jurgen Klopp said that Liverpool's defeat by Burnley was a massive punch in the face, but took full responsibility for Thursday's 1-0 loss at Anfield. The champions are robbed to their first top-flight title in 30 years last term, but have fallen off significantly this season, lying 6 points behind leaders Manchester United and without a win in 5 games. The Reds seemed to be hitting their strides on 19th December when they took Crystal Palace apart 7-0, but have not won since then. Liverpool's last loss at home came 1,370 days ago against Crystal Palace in April 2017, and they were undone this time by a late Ashley Barnes penalty. Finally, still with Liverpool midfielder Jorginho Wijnaldum believes that the club should do the talking when it comes to update on his contract situation. The former Newcastle United man has entered the final 6 months of his deal with the Premier League champions, and a little progress has been made with regards to a renewal. Speculation of a potential move to Barcelona and a reunion with Ronald Koeman, it is a riff, and Wijnaldum has since insisted that he should not be one to comment on his future. Lille's Renato Sanchez and Udinese's Rodrigo De Paul have both been mentioned as possible replacements should Wijnaldum indeed head for the exit door this summer. That's all we had for you in the world of sports this afternoon. Thanks for listening. My name is Kelly Abale.
Thank you, Kelly Abale, for the sports news. And now, to end this bulletin, let's have a recap of the top stories. An SSPDF officer has reportedly killed his wife before turning his gun to himself in Juba. The South Sudan Civil Aviation Authority has notified foreign travelers to obtain a newly adopted electronic visa before flying into the country. And a member of the peace monitoring body is calling on the government to speed up the implementation of the peace agreement to normalize relations with the new U.S. administration. That's the end of iRadio News. You can also get these stories and updates by subscribing to iRadio News Alerts on your MTN South Sudan number. Call 700 or dial star 700# and follow the instructions. If there's a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 912 986 986. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio Juba. Like our Facebook page, iRadio. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30 p.m. I am Jale Richard, and thanks for listening.
are right where you deserve to be. Your eye on South Sudan.
لو أنت عندك حمى وسيلان الأنف والسعال والتهاب الحلق أو صعوبة في التنفس، ممكن يظهر لك علامات وأعراض بتاعت فيروس كورونا. أطلب العناية الطبية عن طريق الاتصال بالرقم 6666 وأتبع التعليمات بتاع السلطات الصحية. لو اتصلت بدري ده حيساعد الناس اللي بيقدموا الرعاية الصحية عشان يوجهوك بسرعة إلى المركز الصحي المناسب. ده برضو حيحميك وبيساعد على منع انتشار الفيروسات والالتحابات التاني. معظم الناس المصابين بيعانوا من مرض خفيف أو طفيف وبيتعافوا، ولكن ده ما ممكن يكون أكثر حدة بالنسبة للناس التانيين. خلي بالك من صحتك وأحمي الناس التانيين من خلال غسل اليدين بشكل متكرر بمطهر لليدين أو غسله بالموية والصابون عشان يقتل الفيروسات اللي ممكن يكون في يدك. حافظ على التباعد الاجتماعي، مسافة ما يقل عن 1 متر بينك وبين أي زول اللي بيسعل أو بيعطس. ما تمسك عينك أو أنفك والفم، لأنه بمجرد التلوث اليدين بينقل الفيروس إلى عينك أو أنفك أو فمك. مارس نظافة التنفس، وده من خلال تغطية فمك أو أنفك بكوعك أو بمنديل ورقي، ده في زمن السعال أو العطس لحماية الناس من حولك من الفيروسات زي الإنفلونزا أو كوفيد-19. وحافظ على نفسك وعائلتك في مكان آمن من مرض كورونا فيروس. أعرف أحدث المعلومات حول الفيروس. الرسالة ده بيجيك من آي راديو، عينك على جنوب السودان.
Call your brothers, sisters, friends, spouse, just call everyone to join the wonderful world of Zain Easy. For every new subscriber to Zain, 25 SSP of Zain to Zain calls worth of airtime will be offered every month for a period of 10 months. Buy a Zain SIM card today and enjoy this wonderful offer.
Zain, a wonderful world.
Angida ediweke wodido na ngwe coronavirus iba ogo Sudan utowor awak angida emugodio momiro ogo rabongo gagaga eledongo imaji ono lojere kelulu obini aga soy rasebun ikodari uno liborito ebenye yaba kabongani angida yedo imi ono jojo obenga bongania iboti bobo bengo gwasa imu kabongani igomomo ono yu angida imuoke erukoi iko emuogo oyugumio epada tugonyo ono yu iremeginere jigo ono yu angida iyabadio abongania igomomwe gagaga dobu elechana yegi jelulu iyabadio abongania bebengi muoke muoke iyaba kabongania imurutugo kuye bobe igide gogo angida ye ibengi titirio abongania gagaga nyo aragaro oni agasogo gunya iko eboriga ililla abongania rasebuni ko dari guno liborito igalu yabakiye angida bobenyi oyogo ebengi iyabakinyi nyak ijara aduri gulo woni iko angasi arega ya or obengi imugodio momide kosi rabongania egoro jojo oluak emugodio mom rabongoye iko adigulo nyiga jigo bebe elewonie igi jelulu ijere gyama araboye idi wejere ewodiro na ngwe coronavirus iba ogo Sudan utor gule yanguneito isi wasarasaha atadi ulo lwagitesi isi UNICEF iko World Health Organization adi ulo mije eramona ngwera iba odang.
Our voices.
Rorotaka.
Soda.
Rolda.
Dora Amaro.
Jauda.
Duan
Mamewa. Ekeni Rawo.
Our voices.
A program that gives us a chance to express ourselves on issues that matter most to us and our families. Join us every Thursday at 12 p.m. on Our Voices to share your experiences, concerns, and to learn from experts how to improve our lives and communities.
Our Voices.
Soda. Brought to you by iRadio in partnership with UNICEF.
Je suis un peu malade, mais je pense quand même. Ça c'est l'émotion qui bénit tous mes jaloux. Je vous bénis tous. Yoka, ok, appelez-moi Seigneur. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Baba Susana. Hosanna, Mokondi Wabiso. Baba Susana. Baibi Moulwa Mwasi. Baba Susana.